Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Are y'all frozen?
Yes. I'm frozen now. It's pretty warm in here.
It is.
I didn't expect that.
It is a cold day today.
Hello, lady.
So my name is Phlatt Mclean. I don't know all of you, so I was hoping to get to know some of you and what department you're from and what y'all do here on the campus. Would that be all right? And then I'll introduce myself further.
I'm Fran Picard, and I work in the nursing division. And I schedule, maybe 4 or 5 events a year. So I have used some of this work order stuff in the past, but I don't know if there's any changes.
Okay.
So
We'll find out.
yeah.
I'm Linda Debray. I do development and I take care of the foundation.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
I'm Rhiannon Hartfixon. I'm an administrative assistant in professional studies.
Okay.
I'm Cindy Francis. I'm an admin for HR, and I've used it once.
Perfect. Perfect. So
It was easy.
So at least you know where to go.
Yeah, it was straightforward, pretty easy.
All right.
Nice job.
Thank you.
I'm Vicki Daigle, and I work in the Student Affairs Office. I'm the Associate Student Affairs Officer. And I do work orders on occasion.
Perfect. So I got a pretty good group here today.
Debbie Pelletier, I'm the Associate HR Partner here, and I've already spoken with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Leslie Kelly, Information Services.
John Ouellette, Audio Visuals Media Services. I do use your form quite a bit.
Good. That's what I like to hear, that someone's actually using it. So, my name is Phlatt Mclean. Again, I am from the University Services Department in the University of Maine system. So I cover all of the 7 universities using this particular piece of the work management software. Something that we're trying to get all of the campuses to see and to realize is the value in our facilities related activities, and that's the maintenance of our buildings, keeping track of all of our systems and our work orders, our assets, our inventory. So that's really what this system is built around. And today's meeting is focused on the customer base, those who use the system, or who request work to be done by facilities workers. So the hopes is that at least you can gain some understanding of why we are using this AIM system, that's the name of it, and the benefits of it for the campuses throughout the system, and especially for Fort Kent, which is why I'm here. So with that being said, 2 things that I did notice while I've been surveying the campuses and the community on how they use the AIM product is that it really shows us the accountability of our facilities and our relationship with our buildings and our assets. These equipment that we have, that is our public duty to be responsible for these items, and so it's under our stewardship as a campus community. And the second thing that I recognized is our time management. Using this software helps us manage facilities workers' time in making sure that we get to the customer to ensure that they get their work done, and so that way we can make sure that our facilities are functioning the way that you need them to, so that you can do your jobs as well. So the hopes is that I can show you to get in there, create a couple of them, that we can be driven to at least help our facilities workers utilize their time more effectively versus being split into 3 different people on a small campus. Something that you probably are aware of, and this doesn't happen in your lives, but you don't have fires that you have to put out, I'm sure. No one needs your help or assistance, right? There's no need for emergency type of work or anything like that. So I'm sure you'll understand this scenario. So imagine walking down the corridor and you see Mel, or you see Russell or one of our facilities workers, and they are on their way to a job and they're focused, and they say, okay, I gotta go fix this leaky toilet because it's starting to smell bad and it's leaking on the first floor, and I gotta go do this. And then they pass Cindy's office, and Cindy says, hey, Mel, can you come in here and can you come and fix this light bulb and repair this really quick? It went out just about an hour or two ago. I just need to see. And who isn't customer oriented in here? Oh, sure, let me go do that. They can wait. The leaky toilet's just fine. No big deal. I'm gonna fix the light bulb, and all right, see you later. I'm just gonna go off and do my work and fix the toilet. So I don't think that's happening here, right? We don't do that, do we? No, I'm sure we don't. So it happens. It happens. So the hopes is that we can help at least manage that time because of those more higher priority type requests. And so that's why we created this portal, so that we can help feed the facilities workers that request for those work orders, for the, hey, can you stop in really quickly, or the, let me call and request something that happened today. But by the way, I need it done yesterday. So could you come and make sure it's done? So that's kind of the premise of what we're focused on today, is the customer face and how we can better utilize the technology that we have, so that way we can get our facility staff to work better for you and more efficiently, and not split into 3 different people. So hopefully, and I think what I heard is most of you've already used this portal in some sense or some form. And what I would like to do is show you how to get there if you may have forgotten, if you've only used it once, or if you've used it on a regular basis, then this should look familiar to you. My hopes is so that you can at least gain some information from it, so that way it will be beneficial for you going forward, and that way you can train some other of your staff members how to use that as well. So what I'm hoping to do is to show you this really fast. I'm logged in on the Fort Kent portal. On the top here it says Forms and Documents, if you just want to follow along there. Just a little ways down it says Facilities Maintenance Management Request Form. You see that there? That's the first area that you can access that. If you also look under UMS Quick Links, there's another page, and it's called Facilities Maintenance or Management Requests. So those are the 2 ways that you can access this request portal. And what we're trying to gear you towards is that mentality of, I need something done, or I need something fixed, or I saw something that may need repaired or fixed. This is your gateway that will lead you into that. So if you click on any of them, which it doesn't matter which one you go to, it'll lead you to the same page. This is the splash screen, and it will ask you for your username and your login, your password, and that is your main credentials that you use to typically log into the main computers and the main system. I'm just going to log in with mine. So if anyone wants to take my identity and information, it's out here for you. Let's see. Maybe I'll log me in here because I'm logged in under.
Oh, you didn't need to put the @maine.edu.
Yeah. There we go.
You don't need the main.edu.
You don't need your main.edu. So when you log in, it's going to ask you to submit the campus that you're located on. And most of what you'll notice here is everything that you need for a request is asterisked in red. It is required fields. We have to have that information in order to submit the request. So we are on the Fort Kent campus, and how you're going to see this is it's going to do a trickle down. It's kind of drop downs. If I chose a different university's campus, it's going to give us different location buildings, location rooms, and so forth. And the same goes for Fort Kent. So when I chose Fort Kent, it's going to show me where or which of the properties of Fort Kent am I talking to or about. So I'm talking about the Fort Kent campus. And something that you'll recognize is there's 3 different definitions for request types. So I will explain them so you can be aware and mindful of how they should be entered. Service requests are typically, I have something that I need your assistance with. Boxes moving, those things are considered service requests. I need my AC unit removed from my wall. Can you please remove it out of there? I need this or that. So those are the types of service requests that we're looking for. Maintenance, repairs, and requests, those are, hey, my table broke. It needs to be fixed. I can't get into my office. Can you please give us a key? It's -8 degrees outside and I'm freezing. My AC's not, my heat's not working. Can we please get that turned up a little bit? Yeah, so I think it's working in here because everybody took their jackets off. So.
That would be maintenance.
Those things will be maintenance type requests. Okay, so there's spills. Someone's room's on fire. That's a whole nother story. But yeah. Yeah, so anyways, does that give you an idea just kind of what a maintenance request looks like? And then there's event requests. It's exactly what it says, event requests. And I heard that you mentioned that you do a lot of event types, setups and stuff. If you need support doing setup for events, we need to know that because facilities helps support those events. So that's the thing. If an event is coming to campus, even if it's an outside entity, if it's an on-site entity, a department here within the university, we need to know what we need to do to support your event and to help you. The more detail, the better, because we wouldn't know otherwise what we need to do. And something that would be a little bit of a challenge is if there's a conference or there's some sort of society that's meeting at 2:30 this afternoon, and I get the event request at 2:15 that says, "Hey, I need to get this whole room situated and rearranged and fixed up." I don't know if that's going to work out for you too well. It will manage our time to get there, but I do want to be honest that that's not the way to do it when especially working for event requests.
What about equipment like sound system?
Yep.
That would be event or maintenance.
So when it comes to technology, I'm not exactly sure how facilities requests work for technology.
We just bring the equipment over.
Yeah.
So there you go. So it's just more of the equipment bringing.
But would it be event request most likely?
Well, my
I
thoughts
think-
are for the most part, yeah. I mean, that's event support.
As long as Jeff knows.
It's event
Yeah, but
support.
I can't hold it now if I don't have a work order.
Yeah,
Right.
Yep.
Right.
it's event support. So
Would it be an event or maintenance?
It would be part of the
it's
event that.
it's
we
event
have
it's
in
event
the
support.
Yeah.
It's event support. So, but yes, literally itemize what you know what you need for this event. You know how you want it set up. You know how many or capacity is going to be there for this event. Fill out as much detail as you can, so that way we know what's going to be involved and how many of our facility staff we need to support you. We want to make it work. So if I say, hey, I have an event in room 11 in OMS, all right, what do you need? When? Who? Yeah, give us much detail. Even if you have a drawing of how you want it to look, email it, and we'll go from there. So hopefully that gives you an idea, I hope, of these three types. And so once you select the type, it'll give you an option to choose where the maintenance needs to be. So this will go into, let's say, where are we here? We are in old model school, is that right?
Yeah.
And then let's say, I think this is room number 11. And then if we say location, I don't know if the location that you see for room number isn't listed here, you can leave that blank, and you can type in the room location. If you're partitioned off in a big office suite or something, you can do that. I would recommend doing that. That way, at least when we go in, and let's say if it's submitted for a dorm or something, and they say, hey, I need the bathroom fixed. Well, which one? Or in Sear Hall, I need the bathroom on the first floor fixed. Well, which one? Give as much detail as you can when submitting these types of requests, so that way we can be more efficient and not scrambling around trying to figure out, oh, it's this one, nope. It's this one, nope. And it just, that effectiveness, we all like it. So room 11, I think, is where we're at. And let's say location. So what's our description? I think classroom. Is that our location? No, let's do corner. Corner wall. There needs to be some paint. Does that look right? I mean, does that make sense as a description? Could you tell where you needed to go, what you needed to do if you were coming into this? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? It has the location,
Yeah.
has the room, has the problem, has the where, and then you submit who. So when it goes back to who, and again, I just want you to know, you can fill out as much as you want in this, especially for events. You can itemize it so that way we know what's going on for each of those events. I don't suspect that you'll have to fill out too much if you just have water leaking. You just say toilets leaking and flooding, and we know where if you put that in the description. But you can put as many characters as you'd like in this box, just so you're aware. I think it goes up to at least 4,000 characters. That's if you'd like to write that much. Go for it.
I have a question though. Say there's a fire, it's a real emergency.
Yes.
You can submit a work order, but how long is it going to take to get them here? Isn't it?
No,
can you call them?
No, this
So
is
you
great.
call and do an act-
So this is great. I haven't gotten to those yet, but I will now that you brought it up. So there's two types of requests, not just types that we have on this form, but we have creating just a customer request for something that you need.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
need it now. I
Right.
need it this afternoon or whatever. But right now it's an emergency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the next one is emergency work. So there's the, I need this, I've seen this, or, you know, it's on the campus. And then there's emergency work. So how those are handled for emergencies is, and how it's being handled everywhere. Well, my room's on fire. Can someone please come and put it out? Pick up that phone and call.
Yeah.
Pick up that phone and call. So if your room's flooding, if you know, you smell some electrical,
I think I'd get the
you
heck
know,
out.
yeah, and you'd call someone and say, hey, something's up in my room. I'm smelling it smells like wires or something melting or burning, right? You'd call facilities and you'd make sure that they got there. And then what happens from there is either if you're in a position, because if you're running, you're not in a position, you submit the request then after that. That way that when they're on their way to your place, the request is going through. So that way someone's on their way to handle the emergency, but the request is now submitted. So does that make sense? Because that's something that we want to make sure we handle properly is emergency work you need to call as soon as possible, and then fill out the request once you hang that phone up. Yeah.
This request has already been turned in, by the way.
Oh, I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing. See, that's why we have this system, because he knows. Then let me change that a little bit. Yep. Okay. Perfect.
Well, if
Submitted by email or word?
Go ahead and submit it.
Yeah.
Unless
So
Brittany put it in as a work order.
you guys pay more
I have
attention if
ceiling
you get
tiles,
this
I know that, but I don't know
request
about
twice.
I don't know.
Me and Bill just had a conversation about.
so does the two types? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the first type is this.
Yeah.
You know, just I
It
need.
needs to be
you
done,
know,
but it's not an
You
emergency.
know, it's not an emergency. Emergency work is their own type of work,
Mhm.
and that's that process. So hopefully that makes sense. So the contact name and phone and email, this usually gets twisted throughout how people use these fields. And my perception on this, on what I'm going to share with you, is if you know someone is going to be in that location whenever the work is going to be done, that should be the contact person or yourself. So if I'm submitting this, I should be the contact person unless the person in that space is aware of what the issue is. They can be the contact person. Does that make sense? Because I say this kind of lightly, not saying make requests for other departments and say, hey, go talk to Jane over in student life or something. I don't want to do that, but just be mindful that you might be making the request for your boss, or you might be making the request for someone else within your department, and they would be the contact when facilities comes to them. So that way they know. So just be mindful of who is facilities going to reach out to whenever they go for that work. That's kind of how you should look at that. So fill that out. Put it in your phone. What's my number? I think this is right. 2728. Yeah, there we go. And then your main EDU email. And you do put the rest of that information. And I say that because if you put your email in here, whoever submits their email in this box is the person that's going to receive the email notifications that it has been turned into a work order when the work order has been completed. That way you can receive status updates on what's going on with the work. So whoever's email is in that box is the email that's going to be notified of these things. So just be mindful. So if you want to be notified, but you're submitting it for someone else, put your email in there, but someone else's contact information. So just kind of keep that in mind. We don't usually mess around with the contact department and supervisor head unless you know it. That's just more of a reporting purposes. It's not a required field, so you don't have to fill that out. But it is something that if you know it, we would like to see that if you'd like to put that in there. Once you've finished everything here, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Work Control email. And that's the email listed here. So say for example, you have an event request and you've scribbled out how you'd like the layout of the room because it doesn't make sense to write it down on paper because of how you say it won't make sense. So when you draw it out on the paper, they can visually see how it should be laid out. Send that email, attach the document that you created for your layout to the Work Control, and they can attach that to the work that was just created for this request. So that way it kind of helps with that process. Does that make sense? And also for any other follow-up questions you may have about your particular request, just send an email to the Work Control and say, hey, I was just wondering, do you know anything about the status of this request? Or do you know what's going on? Or I need to cancel it. I made a mistake and we don't need it anymore. Those type of things. So just make sure to keep that in mind, that email is stuck right there. Does that make sense?
Now, do you have to put like the work order number on it?
If they
with your
know it,
email?
they can. If they don't, at least give us your name. And if you know of a time frame of when you submitted the request, that would be great because we can find it that way. Otherwise, it would be a little bit easier if you knew the request number, but you only get that request number through email from once you push submit. We automatically send a generated email saying, hey, you have a new customer request submitted. This is the number. So,
Oh, so you could just attach it to that and send.
yep, send it to that
Send it
email.
back.
Yep, and say, oh, by the way, this is for my event request. This is the rest of the documents.
Like I did one just while we were sitting here,
Did you get an email for it?
and my email's there, and it has the work order number.
Yep.
Or customer
Request number. Yep.
and stuff. So from that email is where you could attach your.
The rest of the
layout or
documents or
whatever.
questions or
Yeah.
anything
Okay.
else. Yep. That's exactly right. So does that make sense then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And if that makes sense, then yeah, you just push submit. And I am gonna submit that just in case, just to make sure that it's in the system.
Maybe you might get more attention than I will.
Start on it tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Is that what all the auto-generated ones get? The response says, we'll be there tomorrow.
We'll be there.
We'll be there tomorrow. We'll be there
No.
tomorrow.
No, that's great though. So once you finish, you can click on that button here that says submit another one. What we like to do is we like to break the request out. Sometimes what I've noticed in the system is they have like 5 or 6 on just one request. And that's kind of, a tedious process to go back and so just click submit, and do another one for that request. That way we can keep track of those different requests that you have.
So each request should be separate.
That way we know which one you're referring to, because if we submit it all on one, there's 5 different issues, and I wouldn't have a clue. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it goes to different shops too.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely, different people see different requests. So that definitely is helpful. If you have any questions or feedback on this particular portal page, the splash page here, give feedback because I want to make sure that this is working for you. I want to make sure that it helps you do what you need to do so that we can help them and facilities do what they need to do. So if it's not going to work for you, let me know so that we can fix it, so we can make it work. And so that's the key, because we have to work together in order to make our facilities be beneficial for our good and for the students. So, so that's that. That's the facilities management request form.